Marco Canha, Checkmate London. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm great. Pleasure talking to you, my friend.
How
All
have you
good.
been?
Family's great. Gym's great. Everything good. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Marco, you and I first met in 2015, where your gym accommodated me for a week and assisted me with the IBJJ preparation. And also, you assisted me on the corner of the mat while I was in the finals. Marco, you are an established gym owner in the UK and also an avid competitor. What belt are you?
What belt? Black belt? Third.
Third degree black belt, and you're currently training at your own academy, which is Checkmate under Rico Vieira from Checkmate Rio de Janeiro, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. That's correct.
Marco, you've had many great coaches. What makes Rico your mentor, and what qualities would you say most for a coach, he brings to the mat?
Man, yeah, like you said, I have like I worked with different great coaches, like guys that taught me a lot. But I think me and Rico have like a similar personality, we're laid back and we just have fun teaching and watching people improve and help them, And that was a big change for me. The style of teaching, I think, like made me open my eyes a lot. I've always been part of the same kind of school. I started first with Murilo Bustamante for a couple months only. I didn't take it serious, but then I started in a gym called Strike. It was like very close to my house, and it was under Alliance flag. And Rico and all the other guys were also under the Alliance flag. And then when Alliance had like a big split, like some guys left to create their own teams, and then that's when Brasa was created. That's when TT Terere's school was created, and also so a few people left, and then I left with Brasa, with my old coach Muzio De Angelis, which was also a great impact and important in my jiu-jitsu life. And after Brasa, there was a bit split, and then we became Checkmate. So I always learned from him. I always trained with him since I was like yellow belt, I think I remember. But then starting learning from him every day as a student make a big impact, because the way he teaches, like the specific training part and the concept training, it's not just like show you like 3 sweeps from one position. He will like break it down, teach you the important concept around that technique. And that made me learn a lot and understand a better way of teaching as well, So then I think this made a big change for myself, and I saw like how much I improved, I learned, and also like you keep information to be able to pass on,
100%.
So I think
you guys are definitely big on community, definitely big on, passing on information. I mean, I had the pleasure with training with you guys, and I also had the pleasure of training with Rico in Checkmate in Rio. So, I mean, I can understand, where you're coming from. I mean, Checkmate has produced many a great champion, including yourself. I mean, you're coming off the back
thanks.
of a beautiful back take in the last London Grand Slam. Why don't you tell us about that? How was your experience in that? What do you go through as a competitor? What sort of training regime do you go through?
Nowadays, it's hard for me to have the chance to prepare myself, like focus 100% on myself, because the gym got so big that we're teaching like many classes a day. And I was discussing that the other day with a couple of friends, and they asked me similar, how are you preparing yourself? I'm like, it's hard to prepare myself and be like selfish and leave like all the rest of the students a bit on the side. I don't like that even for a single day or like a week. So I have to kind of coordinate better. And the way I fight now recently is more like whatever I'm teaching my students during the week, what I plan to teach them, and I will be kind of drilling while I'm teaching them, you know. So
you're
this is what
implementing the strategy in your game as well as coaching people through theirs. It's
exactly
a good way of thinking, 100%.
Yeah, so I choose the plan. I plan a few weeks ahead, like sometimes a week, 2, 3 maximum ahead, and then while I'm teaching them, and I like to repeat a lot during the week the same concept. So that's like my kind of part of drilling, and I like to do back takes and like work from back, and whatever I'm teaching them is what I'm drilling for myself, you know. So like I kind of drill while I'm teaching them. So I like to do to back take work for back, but because I was teaching them a lot back take and back defense and working around that stuff during the Grand Slam time, I think I was sharp and was quick to do those, to use that, you know.
Also very appropriate. I mean, that was a first class lesson of how to defeat somebody quite easily. I mean, you finished that with the lapel choke, if I'm not mistaken.
The final, I managed to get Ezekiel from the back. You know, I didn't quite get the hook spin. I finished with Ezekiel. I done a lapel choke from back in the first round.
Yes, okay, perfect. So I'm getting my fights confused. And how was your move from Rio to the UK? I mean, that must have been a massive change for you. You went over with your wife, and a couple of years ago had a child. And I mean, your club has come from strength to strength. I've seen you guys. I know you guys. I've watched James. I've seen you guys on the mat. And you know, what sort of transition was it? You know, coming to a new country, learning a new language, completely, different to what you used to.
Oh yeah, that's a big change. Every time you move to another country, like there's a big difference. You know, the culture, the food, and like the people, especially like changing from Rio, like 45 degrees, to London, where most of time is like cold and rainy, you know. But it's jiu-jitsu, man, you know, like it's I don't even feel I don't have time to miss the beach and the weather in Brazil, because I spend most of my day in the gym doing what I love, and that's rewarding, you know. It's like what we love. So it's adapting. Like I said, I think it was easier because I was busy all the time on the mats, like the training or teaching, and like spending time around the gym. So I think the change, adapting to UK, wasn't hard. I met my wife here, like we met, and then we got married.
I didn't know that. I thought you came over with her. But your wife is Brazilian, if I'm not mistaken.
No, she's Spanish. She's Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I met her, I thought there was an accent. I just assumed.
No, she's Spanish. So yeah, we met, and then we moved. We moved together here. And then I was still teaching, and then I always had the plan to open my gym, and she encouraged me a lot to do as early as I could, as soon as I had the chance, you know. And she was always supportive and helped me a lot through this process. And then we had the first baby, and now we have the second one, and it's amazing, you know. I'm very happy.
Family is growing.
Yeah. Family makes you a better person. The children, you know, it's amazing.
Perfect. The evolution of BJJ in your country alone, in the UK, I've seen over the last 10 years. I mean, that has been absolutely explosive. Tell us about, what you've seen in the evolution of BJJ in the recent years. What do you see? What's going on? Where do you see it going? Do you see us ever getting to the Olympics? Do you see, us as a top end sport for the rest of the world, and somewhat, needed to be uplifted in a manner where, for example, the recent situation between Felipe Pena and Ebeth. That was quite a shocking thing. Do you think that there should be one governing body that overlooks BJJ and controls things like that, or where do you see the evolution of BJJ in the future?
Right. This is quite a tough thing. Like there's a lot of things you can say. Like, who wouldn't want jiu-jitsu in the BJJ in the Olympics? At first, you would say yes, of course, but who is going to control that? Who is going to be this governing body that's going to be responsible for jiu-jitsu? Depends a lot. I believe that we have a lot to get, like to grow if this happen, but it scares me a little bit also. What can happen if it turns like judo? It's not that I don't see it as being good, but it's going to be very different than what we are used to, and it's always a question. It's always like that. You always doubt, oh, maybe it's going to be amazing, people are going to start following jiu-jitsu and it's going to get bigger and bigger. But there's also like, they're going to change the rules, they're going to try and change things that we've been like used to do it with for years now. So I'm always a bit skeptical, like what can happen. Of course, I want more people to get involved with jiu-jitsu, or I think the same way like people watch football without playing football, we should have people that watch jiu-jitsu but don't train jiu-jitsu, But this 100%. Is quite hard to see it happening, It takes a lot of time, and especially the rules. It can be like very frustrating, or like people won't understand much what's going on. They always think, if the guy's on top, he's winning, but they don't understand the technique involved for the person on bottom sometimes. And there's a lot of question marks around that question, So I think it's tough, man. I was 100% in favor for us to go to the Olympics, but then you start thinking, and then maybe yes, but what happens with karate or judo that
taking away some of the techniques. I remember,
exactly.
I've recently gone on another journey, to be honest with you, to go achieve what I didn't do when I was a child, is go get a judo black belt. And coming back to the sport as well, the techniques and the neowaza itself has changed so dramatically since I was a child, I understand why jiu-jitsu attracted me so quickly. Transitioning the two sports, it's difficult. Your thoughts on, talking about a spectator sport and looking at it from an outside point of view as a person who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu, your thoughts on guard pulls, double 50-50, double guard pulls. What do you think of that? Because that's quite a heated topic. Sometimes it shouldn't be done. It's illegal to be done. Where do you stand on that?
Man, I think every technique, every game, every position you develop is valid, is worth it. Like there's a lot in stake as well. A lot of people complain and talk about the two guys doing double guard pull. Yes, it's boring to watch maybe for 8 minutes. None of them are taking three penalties and letting the fight go to the last minute or last two. But it's like strategy, like this will happen. You won't see that happening in a mismatched fight, like a high-level black belt against an average guy. You won't see that happen. You see the guy just running through and smashing and going. But these fights happen, these kind of boring matches happen when the level is really high.
Yeah.
And there's no space, no gap for a single mistake. And that can cost you a world championship. That can cost you like a world pro championship final. That there's prize money involved. Correct. So this is like hard. The guys train for 6 months, for 3 months for a competition, and when they get there, they don't care if they win by a ref decision, by advantage, by 2 points, but they need to play with the strategy. In Correct. A point of view of a spectator, of course, is not nice. But you gotta give these guys the respect for the work they put on, and they're there to win, to be the best. And sometimes, if I don't want, like the other guy's gonna pull guard, I'm just gonna be old school style and I'm gonna pass, but you're gonna get swept. So 100%. You're gonna get swept.
You need to adapt. Yeah, you have to adapt at that high level.
one fight, I remember a fight that is very controversial, and it happened like a while ago, was Kina and Miao when they both got disqualified.
Yes, for
as a
passivity.
brown belt.
Yeah.
For passivity. Yeah. And people like start slagging them. I understand like people being upset by watching probably the two best brown belts in the world getting DQ'd because they were stalling or not committing to stand up.
Yeah.
But again, if you stand up in Paulo's guard, what's gonna happen? He's
What, you're gonna get
take
swept.
your back.
Correct.
Or he's gonna get your back taken. Same to Kina. If you stand up in front of Kina's guard, you're gonna get your back taken, or he's gonna wrap in the lapel and take your back or submit you, or so you got to defend yourself from that, and the only way defending is like using some strategy that can lead to a boring fight sometimes.
Correct,
but they're 100%. Not there. They want to put on a show. None of these high level guys go there and say, I want to sit on my butt and scoop and wait to the end of the round. They're doing that to win the fight, like to have a chance to win against a high level guy, and that can be boring sometimes. I understand.
No, definitely.
I think is valid. In the end of the day, like they're gonna say, like years ago, that was much better. There was no like these two guys doing 50-50, but there was a lot of stalling as well. Like two guys like head to head against each other, standing up for 8 minutes, pushing two guys with no stand up technique, like no like I say judo, wrestling, just like pushing each other across the mat. And then there was that as well. And people used to think that was boring. Or you see like a guy pull guard and the other guy just keep on his knees, like stepping back and not committing to fight. I think just it's the same, but just changed the way it happens, like the situation that is happening. But people are always going to stall, and there'll be boring matches and there'll be exciting matches, I think this is very controversial. There's always like the part there's the guys that are doing it to win that tournament, that's going to change their lives maybe, that's going to give them the chance to buy a house for the family, or I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to do whatever you involved. Makes
exactly,
sense.
Man. Exactly,
yeah, no, definitely.
So one tournament that it's over now, it's not happening anymore, but why we saw many boring fights and in a different form. I think the format helped that to go that path was the ACB. They paid the guys a lot, and they wanted to win the prize and get better paid.
ACBGJ, 100%.
So like they were not performing the best, but they were performing enough to win, and they would have to win as 5 minutes every round. So you don't have a lot of space for mistakes in those 5 minutes. You might get swept and never recover that again.
No,
so
definitely.
You have to be calculated every step, and we end up seeing many boring matches because of that, But they wanted the big prize in the end, the big prize money.
We're looking at $50,000 or $60,000. I mean, in anybody's eyes, I mean, people in my country get killed for less. So
exactly, man. Exactly.
I can definitely understand where they're coming from. Talking about the current scene. Yeah, talking about the current scene, it's always nice to watch, your fellow Brazilians come up. I know a lot of the guys, especially coming from Czech Mac background, you guys have produced champions. Who's your favorite competitor?
Nowadays?
Yeah.
There's two, Renato Canuto from Checkmat.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lengeker.
And why?
Man, because if you step on the mat with these two guys, you're going to have to give your life to leave the mat with a win or not get smashed, I think they're very aggressive, very exciting to watch. They're not there to score a point and just wait till the end. They're there to fight you, to smash you, to run through you and tap you as quick as you can. So there's a lot of, the talent that as bigger as our sport gets, more talented guys will come, more guys will cross training and come like wrestling background or judo background. And you see great judo players, great judo athletes playing guard very well, and that's amazing, So
that's the evolution of the sport. I see it in judo a lot more nowadays because, I'll be honest with you. I've entered a couple of judo tournaments and I use jiu-jitsu to beat the judokas and I use judo to beat the jiu-jitsu folks.
It's the same.
It's definitely amalgamating and, forming in its own sort of martial art. Ground sports entirely is becoming its own, I think, total style of martial arts back to the days it was 100 years ago. And, sponsors have played a major role in your sort of training. And how do you maintain the sort of jiu-jitsu lifestyle in terms of, dealing with sponsors and dealing with the clubs, dealing with students' main problems? Because, I mean, let's be honest, you're not just a professor on the mat, you're a psychological professor as well, because, you get some of the most... I know for myself and my professors, I've divulged things to him that I wouldn't to other people. So, how do you maintain sort of all of those aspects in your life?
I try to I own the gym with my business partner James. I try to not get involved in the business side a lot, just to be the coaching side, and don't get involved with memberships and stuff, because I think if you mix it up, you can get involved with emotion. This guy. So I like to keep focus on the mat 100%. And like you said, we're not just teaching techniques and jiu-jitsu. We're teaching we're helping them get more confident, helping go through problems. And like you said, sometimes you're a parent as well, these students, And I think I don't know. It's part of the job I chose. Because I was a student at some point, and I remember going to my coach with problems that are not even related to jiu-jitsu. But I think jiu-jitsu is help us get stronger for the life challenges. You're being smashed every day in the mat. You prepare to be smashed for something happens outside.
Remain calm under pressure.
You get fired from your job. It's the same, you're going through hard times in life, and you go through hard times on the mat. I think that prepares a lot, and then you change the situation you are. You go from a student, the guy that used to talk to and ask advice, and now you need people come to you and ask advice. This happened, and can be related to jiu-jitsu or not, But it's part of the job we chose and we love. So I think I'm happy when people ask me advice and talk. I have young students that tells things that they don't tell things that he doesn't tell to his father, because maybe the connection we have in the mat, and the connection, the bond we make in the mat is something amazing,
Yeah, I mean, look at us. I mean, we haven't seen each other for five years now, around about there, going on there. I mean, I can phone you up and ask your advice and take your students' advice. James and I are still, I still maintain connection with
sometimes,
James. So it builds a family and it builds a relationship second to none. All over the world.
It's a strong bond.
Talking about that, how important would you say it is to travel outside your gym, to train with other guys, to train with other bodies, different styles? What is your thinking on that, Ben? Because I know in old school is a bit taboo.
Yeah, I think times changed, and you see guys that have fight schedules against each other, training with each other, and it's happening more and more. I think, I come from, I don't consider myself old school. I don't call myself old school, even though I've been doing for 25 years, I think. I imagine, I don't call myself old school. Imagine if Liborio or these older guys, what you calling old school, what they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mario, my Leo Vieira, these guys are old school. I'm just in the middle of the generation, I think, So I think that also gives me a little bit of, I've seen the old school and I've seen the new generation, and I'm kind of in between. So I think I'm open-minded. I like to train with everyone,
I know your academy is very open. I mean, you guys, like I said, I traveled over that side by myself, and you were very accommodating to me, helping me and assisting me even in the finals. I do appreciate that. And it just shows a bonding that you do earn on the mat, and respect is earned. That's definitely what I have to say. Marco, I don't want to take too much of your time.
Nah, man, it's
Because,
great talk, great shot.
you definitely have one of the most predominant academies in the UK at the moment. I can honestly say. I know that there was 2 check mats, but that has recently changed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There was
The
another big gym that I used to teach, London Fight Factory. Unfortunately, they're not part of the team anymore.
They moved over to Cyborg, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Also a good, very big, strong team.
Yeah. It's like it's like they're friends, and we don't like seeing friends leave the team and become defend another flag. But in other hand, it's like it's we just want the best for each other, and we always friends. And sometimes we will have to fight each other on the mat, but after that it comes back to the same thing, like everyone friendly and all good, all respect,
We're talking about a Crioche, old school now, basically. What are your views on that? Like I said, I mean, again, bringing old school mentality into a new era of jiu-jitsu. Like I've done it myself, to be honest with you. I've bounced around from club to club to, from flag to flag. And the reason I've done that is because, I've literally done it in order to suit myself sometimes. What is your views on that?
Look, there's a few different points to that in my view, right? A few things that can happen. If you've been always a good coach and you always try to give your best to the person, and this person without a reason turn and say, you're not good to me anymore and I'm leaving to the next gym, then I don't think it's a good thing to do, then people would say this guy is a creonte. But then, like, you're a coach and you don't care much about your students. You're just there to to have a job and get paid by the end of the month. And of course, you won't give the best to those students. You're not being a coach. You're just there to earn your money at the end of the month and go back home to do whatever you want. So then, after a while, these students will feel that. It's like a child will feel like the parent is not there for them. So they have the right to choose another gym to go in and try other places, and they go and see, wow, I go here and this guy treats me very well, but I go in my gym where I've been there for 2 years and the coach doesn't care about me, doesn't even know my name maybe, or so there are situations where I agree with the student for leaving. I left my coach Muzio at the time. I think I don't know if I didn't explain like for him what's the reason, and I know I regret so much the way I did at the time. I don't regret leaving because for me it was a great change and opened my eyes and stuff, but I regret the way I did. I took care of the matter, so I regret that, especially after you mature a little bit. And now as a coach, I understand like why my coach would be sad with me, not upset, but sad, because it's like you
build
raise
up a relationship,
children.
correct?
Exactly, of course. And Muzio was probably like very important in my jiu-jitsu life, like since I was young, he took care of me, and he saw that I had like talent to do something, to go pursue a life in jiu-jitsu, and he always pushed me. He tried to make me work on my strength and take care of my diet, push me to compete when I was blue belt and purple belt. So I think he was very important. But then, like, you start, each one of us, we go through times in life. So maybe he was going through a different time in life, and I was with my mind in another direction. And then you kind of go in different directions. But after a while you realize, and then you become friends again, and we have a good relationship nowadays. I got him to London to teach in the gym. I go and visit him sometimes in Brazil. When I'm there, I go and train with him. So I think there's every situation you have to see like who's right or wrong, or maybe both were not thinking in the same direction. They went different path. But again, there's always like this guy didn't do, like, the coach wasn't taking care of the student thought he had to leave, because also like the student's paying, like he's there to pay the membership, and you should be training where you feel comfortable, where you feel like you're getting something back from what you're paying for your membership, you know.
I understand. No,
As a
definitely.
coach and a gym owner, the last thing I would want in my gym is someone unhappy, you know.
Of course.
So if there's, and I believe you're never gonna make everyone happy. I believe my style, maybe there'll be few people that don't like it. And if the guy is honest with me and tell, look, Marco, I love you as a person, but the style you're teaching here is not for me. And I'll say, yeah, I'm like, so you should go and find a place where you feel comfortable, you feel happy. And the friendship should never end because of that, you know?
Try not to burn your bridges, because at the end of the day, we're all a very small community trying to grow something together. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen in a couple of years ahead, you know?
Definitely. Marco, thank you again for your time, sir. It's been a pleasure talking to you and catching up with you. Just any final thoughts for, the South African crowd? Because, look, I mean, we don't get to go overseas a lot, and it's very expensive for us. So what are your final thoughts for South Africa as a developing and growing country in terms of Brazilian Jiu-jitsu?
Right. Look, I believe you guys might be like you said, in a position that is expensive for ticket to go outside, but many countries were in the same situation. Now they developed a lot the jiu-jitsu, you know. So I think if you guys love to train, which people I believe the people involved with jiu-jitsu in South Africa do it because they love it, because they got addicted to jiu-jitsu and they start in that bug of I love this, I want to learn, hungry for knowledge, hungry for wisdom and seeing new techniques, you know. So I think if you guys have the passion, if you like the sport, keep looking for the best ways to train. Open your mind and get to train together, especially if you don't have the chance to have many other people to come and visit you guys and train, or you guys to go outside and abroad and train. You need to get together, be open-minded and help each other. And helping each other, you guys going to raise the standard of the country, the whole the country as a whole team, you know. And of course you might have local tournaments that you're going to have to fight each other, but you need to help each other, you know. If just one team is good in the country and there's other two teams that are kind of average, not very good, you're just going to have a small group, you know. And if you guys help each other and train together, compete against each other, but always in thinking about improvement as a whole, team, you know, as a whole unit, you know. So I think that's gonna help. And you see many countries that maybe 5 years ago were in the same situation, and then they start developing and connecting to it with each other and raising the standard as a whole, you know. So I think it's just time and dedication, and if you enjoy, if you're having fun, if you love it, keep doing it and get
100%.
together and share knowledge. Sharing, you open you're leaving something for them, and you're learning, taking something back from them as well. So share knowledge,
for yourself,
get together. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's it.
Marco Canha, you're an inspiration to myself personally, and I'm sure you're an inspiration to many people in the UK. So, my dear friend, I will be heading over that side, and I hope to have a role with you on the mat.
Sure. Of course. We keep in touch, brother. Take care. Yeah.
Thanks all the best. Thank you very much.
All the best.